Hi there. Today we'll be looking at two cameras. We'll be doing a comparison of the 5D Mark I and a fairly new 550D. We'll be doing so with the intention of establishing whether you buy an old full frame camera or do you opt for a newer and younger model that perhaps has some more features. Do you want to start on some of the pros on?
Okay, I'll start with the 550 then.
Okay.
Well, this is a crop sensor DSLR and it's fairly new. They make a newer version called the 600, which is essentially the same camera with a flip out screen. But if you were buying one, it would be up to yourself which one you wanted to pick. There's also a slightly lower megapixel version with a different metering system, which is called the 500D. And that's still a very good camera. So you've got these three cameras which are all between about 500 to 600, would you say? Yeah. And this has got a really good autofocus system on it.
Yeah.
It's got a built-in flash, a very good metering system. It's the same as the one on the 60D, is it?
Yes, you can find it. It's the same as the one in the 7D, which is the top of the range. Crop sensor cameras, you probably know.
So that's a very good camera for the money. I think it would retail for about $550 now.
Thereabouts, yeah. You'll probably pick one up for about 500 to 550 new.
And it comes with a 15 to 55 EFS lens, which is the one specifically made for the crop sensor camera, and that is actually what we're using to film the video today.
Yep. So I mean, if we look at the two cameras, if you look at first the autofocus to begin with, the 550D coupled with, I don't know, any of your ultrasonic ones. This is the 24 to 105mm L lens, or even this, the 28 to 135. Either one of those, given their quick focusing capabilities, combined with the autofocus on the 550, makes it for a brilliant little performer. If you quite like doing your kind of sports photography, you can do it with that. You can do your panning shots. I myself have tried it a few times and come out with some fairly pleasing results. However, if you compare that with the autofocus performance of the 5D Mark I, even the Mark II is notorious for autofocus problems, but comparatively it struggles. You need a very good level of light before you'll get even kind of sufficiently quick focusing with it. So consequently, if you like to do your sports photography, I mean, this review will be comparative to what sort of photography you like to do, but for sports, and if you're doing, I don't know, anything that you need to focus quickly on, I would definitely recommend a little 550. However, the 5D by comparison is obviously full frame, so do you want to talk a bit about that?
Yeah, so I'll just start talking about the 5D. I've just got a few minutes. Well, this is a full frame, as we said, so that means that if you've got an EF lens, because you can't put EFS lenses on it, it won't fit the mount. But that's not really a bad thing. The EFS lens was only created to try and level the playing field between crop sensors and full frame. So if you've got your EF lenses such as the 70-200 or the 50, then this will allow you to have them to what they say. So it will actually be 70-200 as opposed to with the crop factor of 1.6, which is what the 550 has. And it's got a much better build quality. It's fully waterproofed.
It's certainly a lot more weather resistant, I can confirm that.
So you'll be able to take this out in light showers and without doing yourself any damage. Whereas this 550 doesn't claim to be waterproofed.
Yeah.
So while you may have a fully waterproof lens, it's not much use to use it if your camera isn't waterproof. It's got a good display on the top, which is fairly easy to read. I mean, it's quite standard for semi-pro cameras, but it does allow you, if you have it on a tripod and you don't want to have to kind of crouch down, then this will make it a lot easier. It's fairly easy to use in terms of settings.
Yeah.
If you haven't used a pro camera before and you're used to the menu system of the 550, which has it on the screen, this doesn't, this will just do it on here. But it does, and it takes a little bit of getting used to, but it's fairly easy to use and comes with a manual which will tell you what you need to know. It's a 12.8 megapixel sensor, which is fairly good.
Yeah, you can certainly get some comparable picture quality to the likes of the 550. However, due to the 18 megapixel CMOS sensor, or the APS-C sensor rather, you will actually get some sharper images from the 550D, bizarrely. I guess just modern technology. However, you can still, despite the megapixels is not the be all and end all of a good picture. Obviously, we won't go into what makes a good picture, but I mean, I've shot that and got some very pleasing results from it. You will, however, notice some vignetting, which is your kind of fall off of colour in the corners of the frame, which personally I quite like. Maybe that's just an artistic preference of mine. Whereas because of the 1.6 crop factor, so it's basically whatever you have in this, you will get, you obviously get 60% greater, zoom on it. So for example, this is a 70 to 300, it's a little Tamron lens. It's quite a good wee one just for starting out, if you're doing so. That, as I said, 70 to 300, that equates to about 112, I believe, to 450. Whereas on the 5D, it will be a 70 to 300. So that is definitely worth considering, certainly if you are a landscape photographer, or indeed you like to do a lot of indoor shooting, or you like to shoot in parties, what have you.
And it's for the vignetting, it's about 2 exposure stops that the vignetting will do. But it does give a nice effect in our opinions, but it just depends on what you think, what you like. Yes. In terms of shape, if you hold that to see. This is obviously a bit bigger, as you can see. And in my opinion, it does feel nicer in the hand, it's got a better grip on it. You don't have to kind of crush your fingers up, which you sometimes get with that. Yeah,
quite true. I mean, the likes of this one, you will I mean, I've not got particularly big hands, but you will tend to struggle to keep all fingers. Certainly, that's a generally comfortable shooting position. As you can see, my pinky will tend to slip off, which is no big deal. However, it tends to be a nicer experience with it.
I mean, you can get a grip for that, which will make it.
Yes,
about 1,000 times. Like, this is a grip, by the way.
Yeah.
You see it. Which also doubles the battery life, but it does add some weight and heftiness to it.
So, I mean, as you can see, I mean, I'll quickly stick this on. This will, it'll certainly make it a bit more comfortable if you do have some kind of larger hands. As you can see, I can quite comfortably put my hands quite comfortably on it. The good thing about that, it makes it look like a wee 1D. So I mean, they're both very good cameras, so it really is up to you what sort of photography you like to use. If you want it, as I said, if you want to do indoor shooting, if you want to do landscape photography, then it's worth doing with this. Moreover, the likes of your ISO settings, which is a big part of your kind of getting correct exposure in your image, is much more handy in your professional cameras. That's when it does pay to have a professional camera.
You've got on this, the 5D, you've got 15 ISO settings ranging from L, which stands for low and is 50, up to H standing for high, which is 3,200. And the 550 goes up to 12,800.
12,800.
So you have got a higher ISO on this. However, you don't really want to be using that because it will result in a lot of image quality deterioration, make it very noisy. But this has 15, ranging from 50 to 3200, and this has 8, ranging from 100 to 12,800.
So basically what that means in quite simple terms is you'll be able to just quite simply get, you'll be able to control your picture, you'll be able to control the colours in it and the exposure in it more, which can be very handy. However, as Rachel was saying there, this does have a greater height. It's got higher ISO capabilities. However, as she said, the noise you get, which is basically horrible little grainy particles you see in it, does significantly increase. Thus, it depends what you're using the photo for, but for printing purposes, probably not usable. But if you need an image, then hey, by all means, that will certainly get you, whereas that might not.